Title: The Bloom of Despair. The air in the house smelled of damp earth and something else. Something sweet and rotten that turned the stomach. Elena, with her sunken eyes and translucent skin, smiled weakly at me as she led me down the hallway. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" Her voice, a broken whisper, barely surpassed the deafening tick-tock of the old wall clock. The she was referring to was the black flower. A botanical aberration that dominated the winter garden, a greenhouse attached to the house that resembled a glass mausoleum. Its petals, the color of the deepest midnight, spread like bony fingers, absorbing the light and leaving the rest of the garden in a spectral gloom. In the center, a thick, throbbing pistil emanated a sickly glow. Elena had been a vibrant woman, an artist with an overflowing passion for life. Now, she was a shadow, consumed by something invisible. The black flower, according to her, was responsible. "I found her a month ago, in the woods behind the house," Elena explained, her voice trembling slightly. "It was just a bud, small and harmless. I thought it was exotic, different. I transplanted it here, thinking it would bring life to the garden. But instead of giving life, the black flower had stolen it. First, it was the colors of the garden. The red roses turned gray, the yellow daisies withered and turned to dust. Then, it was Elena's vitality. Her laughter faded, her energy vanished, and her passion for painting turned into a terrifying void. At first, I felt peaceful," Elena confessed, approaching the flower with an almost religious reverence. "As if all my worries were dissolving. But then, I started to dream. Horrible nightmares, full of darkness and emptiness. I would wake up feeling like something was stealing from me. Something essential. The petals of the black flower began to fall. Not like petals, but like black, viscous tears that clung to the ground, leaving stains that seemed to spread like cancer. The air became heavier, more oppressive. I offered to call a doctor, to seek help." Elena shook her head, her eyes fixed on the flower. "It's too late," she whispered. "It's connected to me. If you touch it, if you try to destroy it, you'll hurt me." I spent the night in the house, unable to sleep. Every creak of the wood, every whisper of the wind against the glass of the greenhouse, made me jump. The next morning, I found Elena slumped in a chair, watching the flower with a morbid fascination. "It's consuming everything," she suddenly cried, her voice full of despair. "My joy, my hope, my life. I can't stop it." I tried to approach her, but she stopped me with an agonizing scream. "Don't come near. It will hurt you." The black flower seemed to respond to Elena's scream. Its petals stirred violently, and a low, guttural hum emanated from its pistil. The air thickened even more, and the light in the garden dimmed, plunging us into near darkness. Then, I saw the change, not in Elena, but in the flower. The pistil began to swell, to grow at an unnatural speed. Its petals spread even further, almost completely covering the winter garden. And in the center of the pistil, an opening began to form. An opening that looked disturbingly like a mouth. Elena moaned, her body convulsing in the chair. "It's blooming," she gasped. "It's taking everything." The mouth in the pistil opened completely, revealing a dark and humid interior, full of tiny, sharp teeth. A nauseating stench, of rotten flesh and withered flowers, emanated from the opening. I recoiled in horror, knowing instinctively that I had to flee. But I was paralyzed by fear, unable to tear my gaze away from the flower. Suddenly, the mouth snapped shut with a violent click. Elena stopped convulsing, and her body slumped in the chair. I ran to her, but it was too late. Her eyes were empty, her skin cold to the touch. She was dead. I looked towards the black flower. It was fully open, its petals spread in a macabre display. In the center, in the place where the pistil had been, there was something new. Something horrible. A bud. A black, shining bud that resembled a miniature coffin. I ran out of the house, without looking back. The image of the black flower, with its funereal bud, remained etched in my mind forever. I never saw Elena's house again. The police cordoned it off, declaring it uninhabitable due to dangerous environmental conditions. The neighbors spoke of a strange plague that had devastated the garden, leaving behind a trail of death and desolation. But I knew the truth. The black flower was not a plague. It was something much worse. It was a parasite, a creature of darkness that fed on life and hope. And in the bud it carried within, a new generation of horrors was gestating, waiting for the opportune moment to bloom again. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can hear the whisper of the black petals falling. And I can hear Elena's voice, at first full of admiration, then of despair. "She's beautiful, isn't she? It's consuming everything." And I know, with a terrifying certainty, that the black flower is still out there. Waiting, lurking, blooming in the darkness. Waiting for its next victim. Waiting for despair to bloom again.